Welcome to the Mind Body Business Show. The 3 keys to your success is just moments away. Here's your host, Brian Kelly.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the Mind Body Business Show. How are you doing this evening? My name is Brian Kelly, founder of Reach Your Peak and host of the Mind Body Business Show. The Mind Body Business Show, what is that all about? Well, the thing is, in my 54 plus years on this planet, I started recognizing certain patterns develop, patterns of those who I saw as successful entrepreneurs. And I noticed it coming up over and over and over again. And I realized that they really fell into 3 areas. The mind, i.e. mindset. It's key to develop a powerful and positive mindset. And we're not talking just from the conscious level, but also from the subconscious level. I know some of you might be saying, woo-woo, that's woo-woo stuff there. I was the same. Then I learned about this science, this proven science called neuro-linguistic programming, or NLP for short. And it literally changed my life from that day forward. And I do not say that lightly. I'm not one of those guys that says that changed my life every turn. You know the type, yes. Mindset is what I call the foundation of everything that you currently have or do not have in your life right now. Whether you're successful or not successful, it all stems from your mindset. That's pillar number 1. Number 2 is the body. And what does that mean? Well, the body, that is your temple. It is, your heart, your blood, everything that keeps you alive. And why not operate at a peak level of performance by nurturing your body with the foods it was designed to eat, and by exercising as we were also designed to do. And you know how you feel much better when you exercise, don't you? You feel great, even though you might have been super tired right before. So the mind and body, 2 very crucial elements for the foundation of you and your life, for not just business, but all of life, personal and business. And then there's business, the 3rd, and that is where the rubber meets the road. When you want to get masterful at sales, at marketing, at team building, where you're scaling your business. And when you combine all 3, when you have mastered or come close to mastering all 3 of these pillars that I call them, then you are operating at a peak level of performance. And that is my goal for you, entrepreneurs and business owners that are watching this, and those that don't own businesses as well, is to be able to operate at your peak level, to be the optimum human that you can be, so that you can serve more people and do better for the world in general, and make a big impact on everyone you come in contact with. And so it's much like a tripod, right? Mind, body, business, 1 leg for each. If you take one of those legs away, if you kick it away, what happens to that tripod? It all comes tumbling down, doesn't it? And that's the same thing with these 3 pillars. If you do not master, or at least embark on mastering all 3 areas, then you might have some tumbles in your life. That's the best way to describe it. And so that's what this show's about. It's a show by entrepreneurs for entrepreneurs. And we have an amazing, amazing guest on tonight, Ken Rochon. I cannot wait for you to meet him. I love this guy. He's got a great sense of humor. I hope he shines that through a little tonight. Hint, hint, wink, wink. He can see me right now. You can't see him. But I'm really looking forward to bringing him on. One other thing I wanted to mention before moving on was those things behind me. A lot of books. I had a mentor many, many years ago. Flew me out to his office. I'm in the West Coast. He was on the East Coast. And he flew me out to his office. He was the CEO, multimillionaire, corner office, large office. And I was sitting on his couch, and he said, Brian, if people only knew, if they only did this one thing, if they just did this one thing, they would become super rich. And he used the word rich. And he kind of paused right there. I was like, okay, I'm ready. Feed me. What is it? And so at that moment, he stepped away from the couch, because he was standing at the moment, turned toward the back wall, right behind, and there was a cabinet, floor-to-ceiling cabinet, 2 doors that open. And we walked up to it. He grabbed both handles, looked back coyly, opened them up to reveal the contents. And what I saw was similar to what you see right behind me, was shelf after shelf after shelf of books. And he said, Brian, if people only read, they would become rich if they just read. And he had, it's not reading fiction books, you get that, right? It's reading books that will empower you, that serve you. So business books, self-development books, self-help, mindset books, everything that go into a successful pattern of entrepreneurship, as you can see with the Mind Body Business moniker. So that's what we're all about, is learning how to become successful. I made a big mistake that day, a huge mistake. And that was, I ignored them. I thought, you're kidding me. Books, I mean, I can go to the library and read this stuff for free, right? Yeah, I could. Thought, well, there's no value putting, no skin in the game for me, so how could they truly be that valuable? And I made a mistake, and I did not start reading. I did not grow up reading a lot of books at all. And I never started, even after I got the best advice that was ever given to me that I didn't even know. And then luckily, thankfully, years later, I met another mentor who said a similar thing, that, books, if you read books, you'll be much more successful. His keyword was successful. And the thing with him was, I was ready for it, more ready for it at that point. And the other part was, he didn't just talk about it, he also showed by example, because whenever I saw him during break, I worked with him for a couple of years, and whenever I saw him, he'd be walking around with a headset listening to books. I was like, wow, you can listen to books? How do you do that? And so I found out about this app that many know about. It's called Audible. And I started listening and said, wow, I really enjoy listening far more than my eyeball scanning the page, where I start getting bleary-eyed and drooping and getting sleepy and wanting to fall asleep. When I'm listening the whole time, and I'm awake and absorbing. I said, this is awesome. So I began reading by listening. I began reading books voraciously, and read book after book after book in business and self-development, and you name it, anything that would serve me better going forward for success in my business and my life, I was after it. And so I began noticing, I noticed on Audible, you can tap this little icon. And I said, what is that icon? I wonder what that is. And it turned out it was a bookmark feature. So what you could do is, as you're listening to the book, at that instant, tap that symbol, and it stores that location instantly. And you can actually go back and review that moment in time and beyond. And I thought, wow, now I don't have to reread entire books. I can bookmark those things that I saw stood out and just go back and play back the bookmarks. And so tonight, that's what we're going to start with. We're going to play back one such bookmark for you right now in a little segment I call Bookmarks.
Bookmarks. Born to read. Bookmarks. Ready, steady, read. Bookmarks. Brought to you by reachyourpeaklibrary.com.
Yeah, there you see on the side, reachyourpeaklibrary.com. And by the way, for those of you watching live, and even if you're watching the recording, stick with us. And what I mean by that is, when you hear of resources, because you'll hear of several resources by means of website addresses, etc., just write notes. Take notes. If you don't have a pad of paper and a pen, grab one quickly before we bring Ken on, because that's where the money is. The gold is in Ken Rashan, who's coming on here in just a moment. I promise. He's coming on soon. Real quick, wanted to go over reachyourpeaklibrary.com. It's a website I personally put together. It is not a for-profit website. It is just there for you, my fellow entrepreneurs. And what it is a list of book after book after book of ones that I personally have read that have had an impact on me. So not every book I've read is in this list. It had to make the grade, so to speak. So there's a lot of Grant Cardone in here, as you'll notice. Big Boom by Mel Ethan Cutler. That's one of my mentors. He's the one that got me reading, ultimately. He's an amazing, amazing man. I love that man. And I love so many people. I love Ken, too, and we just met. So this is a list of books that I have read, and I'm still reading more and more books, and not every book is even in this list yet. But what I put it together for was so that when you're searching, if you're just starting, or even if you've already read quite a few, you could go to this list and say, hey, I wonder if there's any more that might be of interest that I might not have read. You can just go to this site and pick it out. And you can see there, you can get it on Audible, hardcover, Kindle. They even have somewhere soft, what's that? Paperback, thank you. That's what I'm thinking of. So, it's all there for you. And what I want to do is bring up one specific book with a bookmark, and it is by a gentleman by the name of Willie Jolly. Amazing, amazing man. He was literally discovered by a gentleman many of you know by the name of Les Brown. And Willie, it's an interesting story. I'm not going to go into the whole thing, but Willie was actually like a lounge musician, and very good one. And let's just say Les met him and said, would you come and open for my seminars, my workshops? We're talking about the music part. Well, Willie did, and then he learned the magic of speaking from stage. And this man is amazing. I could not get enough of this book. I read it over and over and over. I go back to the bookmarks. He talks a little bit quickly, so if you're taking notes, get ready, because what he has to say is right on point for this show and for our guests coming up. So hold tight, listen in. Here we go. It's about a minute in length. That's it. And then we'll bring on the man, the myth, the legend himself, Ken Rochon. Here we go.
And then I said, you know what? Tell me about your setbacks, Edward. I know it's been a challenge to start this company. To have the success you've had, I'm sure you've had some setbacks. And he said, do you want the ones today or yesterday? In other words, he made it clear that setbacks are part of his daily routine, part of the deal if you're going after success. He shared his perspective on setbacks and how to turn them into comebacks. Everett said that he had had so many setbacks that it's hard to remember them all. Yet his perspective about setbacks is consistent with all the other people I interviewed. They view setbacks not as setbacks, but really as growth experiences, disguised as setbacks. He said, you know, the old saying is true. A problem is nothing but an opportunity in work clothes. And he said, if your reasons are strong enough, they will lead you to results. I said, tell me more. He said, focus on the why. Why? Why are you willing to do this? Why do you want to reach the goal? Why are you willing to go after those things that are uncomfortable to go after? Why are you willing to keep going in spite of the challenges? If the reasons are strong enough, you will become unstoppable.
Yes, that is so true. Interesting that this came up just now. I already had this bookmark chosen for this show. And just before the show, I myself was interviewed by a gentleman by the name of J.V. Crum III, who does Conscious Millionaire podcast. And this topic came up of finding your why, and that is one of the crucial elements of entrepreneurship, of successful entrepreneurship, and that is when you have a strong enough why, you will go through any hardships that come in your way. And gosh, I wonder if any hardships do befall upon us entrepreneurs along our journey. I just wonder if any of them do. Yes, they do. And they seem to come in waves at times, and you're thinking, oh my gosh, I can't take this anymore. You can if you have gone through the process of developing your very specific to you, very strong why. Now, I don't want to go too far down the rabbit hole because the gentleman that I'm about to bring on is going to provide an amazing amount of value for everyone here watching and listening. Thank you, by the way, for being on. Appreciate you. Let's move on over to the guest expert spotlight, shall we?
It's time for the guest expert spotlight. Savvy, skillful, professional, adept, trained, big league, qualified.
And there he is, the man, the myth, the legend himself, Mr. Ken Rochon. I'm going to do a quick intro and then we'll jump on into it. Ken is a lifelong accomplished serial entrepreneur. His success has been established with the Umbrella Syndicate, Big Events USA, Perfect Publishing, and Absolute Entertainment. He is a social proof celebrity event photographer. Say that 3 times fast. Say it just once, I dare you. And an international keynote speaker, a published author of over 22 books, goodness sakes, a forerunner of the nonprofit organization called the Keep Smiling Movement, and past honoree as America's most influential business connector. That's a pretty amazing list of accomplishments. Overall, he considers himself a Renaissance man, a world traveler of 102 countries, and the love of his life is his 5-year-old K3. I love that. I love that. And we're going to bring him on in just a second. I just want to remind you, for those of you watching live, remember to stay on to the very, very end because we have a phenomenal giveaway for one of you who follows the directions at the end of this show. You can win a 5-night vacation stay at a 5-star resort in Mexico. Compliments of my good friends at powertexting.com. They sponsored and they provide that. They themselves have been to one of those Mexican resorts and said it was amazing. So you know it's high quality. So stick around. Now, finally, the guy that's next to me is going to start talking, and you're going to hopefully start taking lots of notes. So Ken, I want to welcome you to the show, first of all. I appreciate you being here. Now, I just read your bio, which is impressive as all get out. Every bit of it, 22 books. I don't know how anybody does that. And it's amazing. I wanted to take it a little bit deeper and let people get to know you. You have just an amazing sense of humor to boot. One of the things I wanted to know is, and for our audience, is what is it that makes you, that drives you to get up in the morning, to get out of bed, to go take on the day? You know, what is that one thing right now? And maybe what is the latest project you're working on that you're really, really passionate about?
Well, I guess it's first when my son screams from the other room and he says, "Daddy, Daddy!" And I have to run into his room and make sure he's okay. So that's what gets me up in the mornings. But what gets me up in the morning that I'm excited about is the Keep Smiling movement, because I have not found anything that shifts your attitude, shifts your mindset, and actually gets you connected to the universe in the way that actually provides you, the opportunities and everything you really want to have in a day, which is positivity and connection to humanity. And it's funny, but you just mentioned Willie Jolly, who is in DC, and he's in the new book, Keep Smiling, the Bald, Beautiful, and Bold edition. And his wife is in the Black Women Influencers, and here she is, Miss Jolly, D Jolly. So it's kind of funny that you mentioned two things that are just like right at my hands. And these are not the books I've written. These are just pictorial books. But I love what you shared with your audience in the beginning about the books that you read that changed your life. And I did this book last year. I read it on Facebook, and it was a book that the gentleman says, the 50 book challenge. I would like to hear books that change your life. I'm going to read all of the books that you mentioned, as long as it doesn't go over 50. So I'll pick the best 50, and I'll do one a week. And so I came up with an idea. I said, what if I came up with my list of 50 books and put a book together called the 50 Book Challenge? And it's just spending an hour a week learning about books. And I saw most of the books that you mentioned, at least half of them were in this book. So I not only agree with you, but it's about revisiting those bookmarks, as you said, and having them integrated into your life and become habit.
So I guess the first question I had for you, I think you kind of answered it. You might possibly consider yourself to be an avid reader?
I'm more of an avid writer now. I was an avid reader. Right now, I like to put out one book every 3 months. And wow. I challenge myself to go to masterminds, to take notes, to learn things, and just to say what is different. The cool thing about writing books is you actually start looking at Google and Amazon. You say, has this book been written? And if it hasn't, why don't you write a book that actually changes the tone of what business can do?
Wow, that's a great idea. And it's amazing that you can still find books that have not been written, because it seems like everything's been written that can be written already. So I'd be really curious to know how that process works. That sounds like, an info product in the making there, brother.
Well, if I may interject, most of the books that you put on your list have happened in the last 10 or 20 years.
Yeah.
Yet we've been having books forever. And you're the kind of guy that if you did a 50-book challenge for your Mind Your Business or Reach Your Peak, you'd actually have people that spend an hour. So it's really interesting. God gives us 160 hours a week. That's 7 times 24, 168. 68 hours we sleep, roughly, or maybe rest. And then 100 we're awake. So why not take one of those hours and invest it in new material, a book that is a challenge, and see what you can get out of the book. It would change your life, just like that gentleman said.
Yeah, and I love that. And one of the ways I found that I could get through books really, really fast, I didn't mention it, I usually do in the opening, is there's one place that most humans reside in quite a bit that doesn't lend itself to much productivity, and that is the automobile, where you're sitting in a car, and most of the time in the past I would be listening to music, and that's good, to relax and de-stress and all that, depending on the genre of music you're listening to, of course. But I found that now I can read, and that I had no problem retaining the information while still driving very safely and tapping that little bookmark symbol. And I found that I went through books really fast in a very short period of time, even with little 20-minute jaunts to and from locations. It just added up quickly, and I was able to get productive time in where otherwise you're just sitting there and your mind's going numb unless you listen to podcasts or something like that. That was a breakthrough for me to be able to listen to it in the car. Now I can get through them. It's not about speed and getting through them fast. I just want more information. The more I get, the better, and the more I learn. So yeah. Go ahead.
Zig Ziglar referred to it as automobile university, right?
Yes.
Now, I actually just text all the time so that I can just be illegal.
I love it. I love it. So,
if you're writing a book, though, if you are writing a book, Brian, I think it's a cool idea that when you have your recording device, your smartphone next to you,
mm-hmm.
you record these ideas and they become your chapters. They become the fodder for what you want to actually create as a book.
Interesting you say that. Years ago, I started writing my book by walking around and talking into my phone, and it still sits unfinished. So, yes, I know. I mean, with someone like you who has done over 22 written already, maybe I should tap into your knowledge base to see what kind of system have you developed or habits to help you power through and get done. 3 months, that's pretty impressive. So for those of you looking,
to helping you getting it done. Yeah.
Love it. And yeah, because we all know a book it's like the key to the kingdom when it comes to obtaining that authority status. I can't tell you how many times on stage I have actually co-authored a book, and my co-authoring, it was about 8 pages long inside of a collaborative book, but I can stand before everyone and say I'm an international best-selling co-author with all, and the interesting thing is the book does not have my picture, it does not have my name, it has the main author's picture and name, yet when I hold it up on stage, I can see in everybody's face a shift, a change. Suddenly, I become a greater authority figure in their eyes just because I said I'm an international best-selling. You don't have to be best-selling, just that you authored a book. Isn't that amazing? So it's very important. I need to get off the hump and do that.
That's one importance. I would like to interject that.
Yeah.
For me, the most important thing for me is that I'm downloading my brain and my heart so that when my son is able to learn more about me. He's very young. He's only 5 years old. And there's going to be a day when I pass, and I don't know what day that is, and I want to give him everything I have that I've learned, wisdom, experience, the books I've read, the movies I've watched. And so my purpose for doing this book is actually, I get upset that I've lost grandparents, I've lost uncles, aunts, really smart people that when they left, I didn't know their story, I didn't know their wisdom, and I wish I did.
Wow, that's interesting. That makes me think of similar, I never really thought about that. That's really cool. It sounds like a very powerful why, one of potentially many for you, but that's a very powerful why to keep one going and writing and downloading the brain. I like that. That's phenomenal. Now, I know just from, I've seen some of your, listened to your radio broadcasts. You're all over. I love it. You have a phenomenal person helping out, Andrea Adams-Miller. I just had to say that because I love her. I know as you do too. And that's another key, is to get help, get coaching, get mentoring, get help, get assistance, the list goes on, so that you can do something like Ken does, which is write 22 plus books, have a radio show. I don't know how many companies and movements he's involved in, several, and the only way you can do that really is if you have enough help. And he's a father. That's a full plate right there.
Well, thank you for saying Andrea, because we wouldn't know each other. I wouldn't be on the show if it wasn't for her. And having someone who's a publicist, having someone who has your back, so having someone that strategizes, it doesn't matter really what those costs are if you start thinking value proposition. So if you really are up to making big things happen in the world, you want to have a partner or a publicist or a team that actually really gets what your mission is and your why is, and they actually leverage you so that you actually do what you're supposed to be doing instead of all the smaller things that they are important, but they take away from what you need to do.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Words of wisdom, I tell you. Now, I see your smile, and I know you like to kid around, and so you're a very, what I would call a positive person. Subtle. I love you have this like deadpan humor, but then you get those pearly whites now and then. That's good. You open the mouth and smile. We're going to have fun on this show, I'll tell you. But the thing is, positivity doesn't, for some people isn't that easy. Actually, for some people, it's easier and more comfortable to stay negative, and it takes no energy to become negative and stay negative. So for you, Ken, when it comes to maintaining that positive nature, that productive, that successful mindset, what do you do on a regular basis, if anything, to sustain that?
Well, I have circumstances and challenges and obstacles like anybody else. So I don't want this to seem like I have a silver spoon and Trump and all the other rich people are saying, hey, you got a problem, let me take care of this for you. So first of all, let's put that to bed. So the real issue is whether you want to focus on what's going wrong, or whether you want to focus on what you can do right, or what you have that is right. So for instance, I lost my mom to Alzheimer's back in 2008. I was a caretaker for 3 years, and it really put life into perspective. And if you've ever been a caretaker, or you've gone to another country where it's third world and they have to walk 3 hours to get water, you start learning how much blessings and gratitude you can have. So I know it's corny, but I actually stop myself if I am going the wrong direction with my mind, and I think about what I have to be thankful for. And within, honestly, seconds, I can think of my son, I can think of my house, I can think of, I live in DC, it's a beautiful area. There's so many things, it doesn't take long. And when I shift it and I get into gratitude, it's really crazy, but I've been rewarded every single time, every single day, every single minute for being in that state. And just like music is the universal language, a smile is the universal expression. So when you smile, all of a sudden you attract the type of pheromones and the connectivity to humans that want to connect with you, and just amazing things happen. So I really appreciate that question, because that is actually the corny, crazy, real reason I'm actually happy most of the time.
It's often the corny things that you will hear entrepreneurs, successful ones like Ken, talk about that are the true secrets to success. And I'm not kidding at all. And I'm not trying to be funny here, because it's amazing. Like NLP, when I first heard about it, it was like, get away from me. This is too weird and wacko, and hypnosis and all that stuff. Now I'm a certified NLP practitioner, hypnotherapist. I mean, it's amazing. Yeah, exactly. There's the sense of humor we're talking about. I love this guy. This is awesome. Yes. Oh my gosh, smile like he's doing now, and he's been doing since we got on the show. He's a product of the product, and I like to. There's a really simple way to help everyone out there practice getting in that positive mindset, because I still do it to this day, where if I am about to embark on something I'm not really happy about, like, I have to go do the dishes now. I have to. Well, actually, literally, do I have to? No. No one's holding a gun to my head. Not even my wife. Nope. No one's holding a gun to my head. I don't have to. But a perfect reframe that really sets the table is instead, first is catch yourself when you say that, either internally or out of your mouth. And number two is to reframe it and say, you know what? I get to do the dishes. And think about what that implies underneath. I mean, I get to. What could that mean? Well, I have a sink and I have dishes to wash. That means I probably have a place to live. That means I'm blessed, and I have, so there's a blessing. I get to. There are people that don't have dishes, that don't have a sink, that don't have a place to live. And when you reframe it and think about, oh my gosh, I am so blessed, and then do it with, like Ken says, with a smile. Put those two together and just watch things change. Get in the practice of doing that. I always go into coaching mode, Ken. I love talking to people like you, because it just gets the juices going. And I know you have way more golden nuggets than I have, so I'm going to stop yakking so much and get back to you. You are, by all intents and purposes, a very successful individual. And success, a lot of people make the mistake that it comes easy, that it doesn't take a lot of effort, that maybe you were born into it or you inherited it. Even if that's the case for some people, it's not like you were just handed the golden key on how to manage it now that you've been given it. But there's things that that cause success for different people in different ways. A lot of times they go down the same road of pattern, though. But what would you say in your case, Ken? What do you most attribute your success, and more to point, if you can come up with 5, what would you say are the 5 key elements for starting and then running a successful business?
Well, it is not saying I am grateful that I can wash dishes. and it is not trying to reframe that so that I enjoy washing dishes. I will say that those are not things I'm practicing. But God love you for that shift, because I'm going to try and apply that. But I have yet to really enjoy that part. But I will say it's about giving thanks. So I give thanks at every meal, and I don't care if people are watching or not. I'm really cognizant of the fact that I have so much to be thankful for. So one thing is getting real with the fact that you have a lot of blessings, and those blessings are something that can be taken away from you any day, so enjoy them. Number two is find your why, and your why is typically either a purpose that you create for your life, or it is a calling from God, depending on what your belief system is. I believe that my mom, passing of Alzheimer's, called me to realize that my workaholic, entrepreneurial, event lifestyle that I was doing before, that was all monetized, materialistic, and all about me, was not going to get my satisfaction if I was to leave this earth and have something on my tombstone that I did not make the difference, that didn't matter in life. So I redefined what my life was going to mean, what it was going to matter, and how it's going to be a legacy. And being a father, as you know, Brian, you are a role model. And if you want your children to live to be a leader, you need to be a leader. If you want them to learn how to problem solve and be valuable in life, you need to be a problem solver yourself. So everything I've done, 22 books that I've done, they've all been about what has not been done, and then we write about that. So I don't know if that is actually 5 things, but it's just challenge yourself, create a bucket list, find things that will actually push you, because every time you're pushed, you get uncomfortable, you grow, you learn, you become a new man, a new woman, a new leader.
Oh, I love that last part, especially about getting uncomfortable, which everyone just loves talking about that. I don't want to be uncomfortable. Yes, in fact, actually, to be successful, you do. In fact, you strive to be uncomfortable every single day, multiple times a day, and get in the habit of doing so, because without doing that, without stretching yourself, you will not grow. You will not go past where you are today. Guarantee. Get out of your comfort zone. Get on shows like this. You know, Ken was sweating bullets. He was really nervous before coming on. He was out of his comfort zone. I'm kidding you, because he has a radio show. This is not his first rodeo to speak. Yeah. But seriously, get out of your comfort zone on a regular basis, especially if it's a comfort zone that when you leave it, you know it's going to take you in the right direction. I mean, don't just get out of it because it's getting out of it. You want to be go into the discomfort region of something that is toward what you're focusing on achieving. Yes.
I want to interject something, because I did leave it out of my 5, and it's actually very relevant to what you just said. So you have written a book, and you co-authored a book. And with what you know, and what I was fortunate enough to be able to be with Brian an hour before the show. We got to talk, we got to know each other a lot better. I feel very fortunate about that, because going into a show with a host, you get to create a friendship, but you more importantly get to learn from them. And I have learned that most people say I can't do things because of resources. They're either time, money, or some other fear. And I have learned a very valuable question you can ask yourself. And that is, if I got paid $10,000 to write a book in a week, would I do it? And by the way, that's not a book. That's anything. That's anything. If I got paid $10,000 to do something I said I can't do by tomorrow or by next week or by 30 days, could I do it? Magically, the answer is usually yes. It's no without that incentive. But that's actually not only the uncomfortable test, but it's actually what you'll probably get if you do the uncomfortable test. Because most people that do a book position themselves to be a better leader. They call themselves to be a better person, and they actually attract all kinds of new attention. So they actually get opportunities. There's so many things that come out of that.
That is a golden nugget among golden nuggets right there. And it almost sounded like another little underhanded challenge directly at me between the eyes. I love it. Thank you, brother.
It is. So, actually, Brian, it's because I love you. I want to actually be the guest that causes something for you, but I'm going to tell you, I will help you, because for me, it's like having the person that says you can't break the 600 mile or 500 mile or whatever, and they say you can do it. Let me be there right with you. I will be there right with you. And believe it or not, in 30 days, we could have a book out. You are so rich in content. In listening to you for an hour, you have the right heart. You have every single thing in place to get a great breakthrough.
Man, I like this guy. Can I take you home?
I'm home, man. Just don't let me do the dishes.
But remember, you get to.
I know.
That's the part that's bothering me.
That's my mic drop.
Yes. You know, it actually doesn't mean I go in there and love every second of it, but it does reframe it, and it does help a lot. And it's just a great thing to do as a exercise. And it's not just dishes. I have to go to a seminar, which you really want to do. That one's easy. Oh, I get to go to a seminar. I'm blessed. I had the money to buy the ticket. I have a car to get there. I have transportation, whatever that might be. In every situation, if you know, it's a very common term. We as people in the United States especially, I have to. Whatever it is, if it's good or bad, we always say, I have to go do this now. It's like, you really have to?
Can I tell you what it triggered?
Yes.
What it triggered was when I was able to do the dishes when I was 12. I actually dropped the dishes and broke them, and my mom said, "You're not allowed to do dishes."
Oh, nice. Nice. All right. We'll have to, we can work on some NLP afterward, and we'll go back and you can redecide that moment in 7 minutes, and you'll be done with that. And you'll be doing dishes with that smile that you're wearing right now.
God bless you.
Put on some music and dance while you're doing the dishes, and drop all you want because they're yours now. All right. Okay, so it takes a lot of things you were talking about are kind of on a higher chunked up level. Giving thanks, find your way, be a leader, and if you challenge yourself. If you had $10,000, could you get it done in X amount of time? Those are fantastic. If we can shift over, it's related, but it's slightly different to what kind of skill set is necessary to become successful. So. What would you say? Let's bring it down so it's not so challenging, because I'm just throwing these out at you. What would you say are the top 3 skills? And we're talking like sales, marketing, or copywriting, or anything along the lines that you find are the top 3 that you need to become successful as an entrepreneur.
Number 1 would be listening skills. And I went through landmark education. You can go through other things, but landmark education teaches you how to create possibility and create relationships through listening and really stopping your internal voice so you can hear people and serve them. So that would be number 1. Number 2 is related to that. It's your communication skills. Learn how to speak in front of an audience so you're empowering people. Learn how to write so you can communicate your gift, your value proposition, so people receive it, get it, and want it. And those are probably the 3. They're all related to communication.
I was writing notes. I missed the 3rd one.
Okay, first one was listening, second one was speaking, and third one was writing.
Oh, okay.
And
you put those as 2 and 3.
So writing is scripts. Writing is scripts. So I have people that say to me, how can I get conversion, get someone involved in a key smiling movement, for instance. I say, okay, so Brian, you are a person that causes smiles in the world. You're committed to your show. You're committed to helping people have the right mindset, the right wellness, and the right abundance ability. I would like you to find people that you'd like to honor that would be in your book because they actually resemble these traits. That's a script. And as simple as that is, that would actually work. I've been in front of people like John Travolta, Quincy Jones, where I have 5 seconds to 10 seconds to say a script, and that the script decides whether they hold a key smiling card. And I don't know if I have any handy, but the key smiling cards are very much like the photo you saw in the book, and that they all are holding key smiling cards. Okay? So the point is, the key smiling card is saying, I believe in positivity. I want to cause smiles in the world, and if you cause smiles in the world, you're actually equaling that you want to cause abundance in the world as well as make an impact. So I think that's a really beautiful statement to actually think about.
I agree. I love that. And yeah, I did see I saw some snippets of that campaign through Andrea, and I saw a lot of people that I recognized, like you were talking about, John Travolta and other what people would consider to be high-end celebrities that otherwise wouldn't be so approachable. So that was impressive just to see that, and so you're proving exactly that the concept, it truly works, just because you're having you're giving away smiles and you're making people smile. And I appreciate the fact that you said that about the show, and I want to concentrate more on getting people to smile, more than just providing phenomenal value. I mean, it's already chock full of that. And I love the fact that you're on this show right now because you make me smile, and I know that means you're making everyone else smile who's coming on because of your really cool sense of humor. We have a similar sense of humor, that's why I think it's funny, so hey, what the heck. And when it comes to like communication, speaking and more speaking and building rapport, I found that NLP can teach you so many amazing things, and one of those is speaking. And it's about language patterns. It's about building rapport. There's something called matching and mirroring that I kid you not, Ken, I used to be very introverted. I used to not want to talk to anyone, especially if you got in an elevator with them, right? Oh no, we got to stay quiet. And then I learned these skills, and oh my gosh, my whole life opened up in front of me, and I was excited and happy. I love people, and I knew I did. I just didn't like talking to them for whatever reason. But now that I had those skills, it was natural, simple, and you can become someone's friend in a blink of an eye. And you can do it with integrity and character all together. And that's what happened. And now it's like, wow, I have the rest of my life ahead of me, and I'm so excited about it because of that. So it's all down the line of smiling, communicating, building rapport, and listening like I wasn't doing when you said those other two. I combined them into number two, just saying I did hear it. I did hear it. Oh man, I'm failing his formula right off the bat. Way to go, Brian. No, it's all good. It's all good.
It is all good.
Yeah. And I opened the show by talking about patterns that I've noticed over my life of success. And I was curious. I'm always curious about the guests I bring on. If you have noticed something similar, are there patterns that you picked up over time where you said, that's one I keep seeing, and there's another one, and there's another one. Now I'm going to start modeling and following them, and oh my gosh, now I'm seeing the success based on following those patterns. Has that occurred to you as well?
Well, of course it has. I would say that the patterns I try and watch are the people that are just true to their heart, and I can be proud that they're not any different on stage than they are in real life. That's the pattern I want to see. I want to see the person that believes in their family, believes that balance is achievable, and that they can actually succeed at anything they put their mind to. So they're positive. The person that turns and bites the person that's taking care of them and disrespects people, that's never going to work. So I avoid those types of people.
My gosh, I wonder, do you know any of those people that are not the same off stage as they are on? I'm not going to go there. No, we both know.
We're not going to go there.
We both know many. Yes, we both know many. And yeah, it's like ick. They come off stage and then you're like, who are you? Are you the same guy or gal? Doesn't matter. That was up there just moments ago. It's like, I paid money and I spent time and I'm in a hotel room and okay, I'm going to go network the rest of this event because there's a value misalignment there. Yeah, so I concur. And the speaking industry, and I like to gravitate there. I just love speaking from stage. As far as seminars and workshops are concerned, is a phenomenal venue, a platform, and it was going down a path where it seemed like I was seeing more that were in that negative realm that we just discussed than that were in the positive, that weren't truly authentic. And now I'm starting to see a shift back. And I think that's in part because people are not dumb. More and more people, not everybody sees a speaker when they come off stage. Not everybody has access to the speaker when they come off stage. But word does spread, doesn't it? And it's good that the word spreads. It's not a negative. It's not gossip. It's telling the truth and saying, look, your time and money are better off elsewhere. That's a good, I want to know that. I mean, you would want to know that, yeah, Ken? To say, if it was like someone you trusted that came to you and said, Ken, I just want to let you know that this would be one I would avoid. Instead, maybe go to this one.
Exactly. So the words are social proof. And I ask this question on stage. I say, if you're living a big life, does the world know it? And if the world doesn't know it, you don't have social proof. So the reason someone like Trump or Obama win president election, and by the way, they're so totally different. We all agree they're very different people. But they both did the exact same campaign. They did a social proof campaign that proved that they were doing big things in the world, and the world knew that they were doing big things in the world. No one could compete at that level of social proof. So the part that most people miss is they go to do big things in the world. They don't have a camera, they don't have the distribution, they don't have a campaign, they don't have a Andrea Adams Miller that actually puts all this together for you. And next thing you know, you're spinning your wheels, and you're one of the 98% of people that are putting a book out that no one knows the book exists, and you don't even care if you carry the book. So every single book I have, I carry with me, because I know that those books have got the social proof, and I don't know who I'm going to meet that I want to give that particular book to. I may meet a traveler that says, I love to travel more than anything. Well, if I give them my book that tells how to get to 104 countries, or 100 countries, I should say, then I've actually given them value. So provide books. And I was going to say, actually, the patterns I forgot to mention is, if you listen to people for what they need, instead of telling them what you need, then you will actually create a new pattern of actually becoming a friend and someone that they value. So my exercise I do with people, for instance, you, Brian, I'm very intrigued that you are at the age and content level and expertise and leadership and ILP level that you are, and that you are not known for this amazing book that's in your mind and your heart that you need to unleash. And so I'm committed as a friend to value what you have inside you to bring it out to the world so it can actually make a difference in the world at a bigger level. So I always listen to people and say, okay, who would be the right connection for that person? And just make that for them, just serve them. And again, this is all corny stuff, but I found from Bob Burke, the go-giver, practicing for 1 year being a go-giver, that it was the karma, it was the shift, it was the philosophy, mentality, and habit that I needed to instill from that point forward, because it worked.
Wow, the go-giver. I've heard of the go-getter. That's like,
and that's what he starts off with. He says the go-getters aren't a treadmill. They're constantly getting. They have to keep getting. But the go-giver has a tipping point. And if you haven't read Malcolm Gladwell, Brian, that is the biggest gift I can give you and your audience. I read the tipping point before I started the Umbrella Syndicate. And the tipping point is that if you put in the resources and the time and the commitment and your purpose for a certain amount of time, maybe like a year or so, and his second book, Outliers, says 10,000 hours, what will happen is you will rise to the level of the top 1% in your industry. And I did 330 events my first year just to see if I did 330 events, would it make a difference? Just as an experiment. And it did. It was massive. I got in the Ravens. I got in the White House 4 times. I got with the Redskins. I mean, this is the demographic area. And no one gets with the Ravens and the Redskins, I promise you. You're doing one or the other, and I got the
I get that one, yeah. That's funny. That's phenomenal. Wow, you must not have slept that entire year if you were doing that many events.
Well, you have to change the rules, Brian. So my rule was that I had to find an event, go to that event for an hour, photograph it, and do phenomenal social media, and leave to do that phenomenal social media. So it was really technically 4 hours. So it was 1 hour travel, 1 hour capture, 1 hour back, and 1 hour post-production.
Cool. So it's social proof, as you were talking about before.
Totally.
Generating social
proof. So the more I
proof.
help them, the more I actually help myself.
Yes. Yeah, and that's the servant attitude that, and I can tell from you, just looking at you, listening to you, that it's all authentic. It's not just, I'm going to serve somebody because I expect riches on the other end. It's, well, there is a chance that will happen, but at the same time, I'm good with just serving because I know it's the right thing to do. And after you do it a few times, I
can make a distinction because it's actually a very good point you bring up. It is authentic, but there is I'll say there's a silver lining of inauthenticity I'll share. And that is that in 3 years of being burned by people, and I'm not saying a lot of people, there's enough people that take the servant attitude, and it's not going to return, but it's more of a taking exercise. Learn to serve people that actually are not just givers, but they're lovers of life. They're people that really want to do big things in the world. Because if you serve the person that's just trying to get a helping hand, but they have nothing intended to do beyond that helping hand, you are just taking your resources and just putting them into a money.
I love that you brought that up. The mentor that I shared that I love so much that had one of those books, Mel Cutler. I
love Mel Cutler.
Yeah,
he's so cool.
He's amazing. Yeah, and I met him at someone else's event. He was a guest speaker, and then I went to his event. He offered a ticket, and I was like the first one. I ran. I kid you not. I couldn't get out of my chair fast enough. I said, I like this guy. I want more from him. He's who I learned all of the NLP from, and it's been amazing. But the thing was after their event was over, I tended to be the first one there and usually the last one to leave. one of those people. But when I'm the last one to leave, not for the purpose of getting under their shirt and getting access to them. I literally just I saw that there were people breaking things down, and his wife was right there, Kate, and she was helping break things down. I said, do you mind if I give you a hand? And I expected zero in return. I just wanted to help. That was it. That was my heart. And so that's what I tell folks going forward, that if you do it without expectation of anything in return, and it's really from a servant's heart, and they are that kind of person you just mentioned, Ken, then something does happen from it. And what happened was just the rest of my life has been changed for the better forever. I didn't know it at the time, but because I showed up and I helped. And it's a rewarding feeling to do it, just to help somebody and not really expect anything in return. And it just, so I use that, I patterned that, I modeled it, and continue to do so to this day, where I will help other speakers, whoever it is, to do something without expecting anything in return. Even if it takes an hour of my time, if I see that they're a heart-centered person, if I want to help them, then I do it. And I don't expect money in return. You don't have to monetize everything that you do. That just gets,
and technically you are. You're monetizing a relationship.
That's true.
Because, yeah, and when you put all these investments in your family, you're monetizing the future. So it's just whether you consider abundance money or you consider abundance love.
Oh man, that was beautiful. Do you have that trademarked yet? That is a perfect.
Yeah, it's all yours, baby. If that'll get your book done, it's yours. It's your title.
All right. What time are we at? I'm going to time hack that so I know where to go to the video later. Thank you, man. That made my whole evening, my whole week. That was beautifully said. Well, a little shift of gears, and I would love to stay on this path. We're getting close to our time, which I cannot believe every time. But we have a little bit. But there's one question I love to ask each entrepreneur that comes on, or successful business person, because it's one of the most often skirted over questions, if you will. In other words, you see people from stage, I have many times, or webinars or whatever, tell you about the importance of this one thing, and they go into the importance of it, and you should master it, and then they go on to the next topic, and you're going, but how, why, where do you start, what, how, give me the meat. And it seems to be skirted over more often than not. And the topic is that of marketing, which is the lifeblood of any business when it gets down to it. Yeah, I mean, you have companies, major corporations, when they have layoffs, they're hitting their marketing team first when they should be the last to go. They're keeping the technicians, the ones that are turning the crank, that have talent, that they are needed, but without marketing, bringing the business for them to do their job, so it's a little bit backwards. Not everybody does that, but for you, Ken, and this is what I do, is I personalize it and say, what have you personally found to be successful in your marketing? What do you do specifically? Like, I know there's a ton of different ways to market. I get that. Marketing is a huge, broad stroke of a brush. But if you were to pick out one, or maybe two, whatever makes it easier. Two, okay, he's got it already. What is your most successful form of marketing been to date?
So number one, actually there are three. I'm sorry, I got to go to three. So number one is forget about your content, i.e. a book or whatever it is, being 90%. It's at best 10%, at best. Your marketing and distribution are 80, 90%. So in other words, you're going to do a book. I know Brian's doing a book this holiday season. He's very excited about it. And the book is coming out. Let's say he has $2,000 to put towards the book. He needs to either pull back the money for that book content, i.e. the printing of the book and the finishing of the book, the production of the book, and put 80 to 90% into marketing. So I always tell people, if you do guerrilla marketing, you're going to get a lot for your resources. So the reason 98% of books sell 11 of 41 copies is because there's no marketing campaign, there's no campaign, social media campaign, social proof campaign, zero. And they are tired of holding their book and selling it to their family after about 3 to 4 weeks. So the book rests in the garage or on Amazon. I mean, it's the same principle. And most people never write a second book because their marketing plan is not good enough. So they actually think they were a failure as an author when they weren't. They were a failure as a marketer. They were a failure as a marketing campaign person. So if you put the same energy, and by the way, the reason all my books, I haven't showed these books off because they're on both sides of me, there's way more than 22. But my point is, every one of these books are my baby. And anybody that has had a child knows it changes their life. Every one of my books have changed my life. And if you treat that book like it's going with you for the rest of your life, it will change your life. And most people look at a book as a small little birth with nothing being given to it, no food, no energy, no nothing. And they wonder why it dies. So I don't know if I've gone 3 or 2.5, but my point is, the 80-20 rule is very important, that when you go into a book, you look at 80% of it being the energy you put in the book, the marketing you put in the book, the love you put in the book. And the second thing is that when you are doing anything in life, that you are looking at how you actually market it for a long term, create a campaign out of it, and just never stop. It's your focus. No one, in fact, the guy who gave me a Keep Smiling card 3 years ago, his name is Barry Shore, and he is getting awards for his Keep Smiling movement. People chant, "Oh, I know, it's Ken Rashawn. Ken Rashawn is the one who had me take a picture with that card." And he's kind enough to call me the following day and say, "Ken, I was so excited when people said your name and they saw the card and saw that I got the award." So that's a real partnership. That's a partnership. And by the way, I will close my comment by saying that the number one thing I feel that happens in life, in partnerships, whether it's your wife, a partner, even a client-partner relationship, is that you are looking at a short-term relationship. And I came for the definition of partnership, apply to anything, will invest, extend, and cause to flourish. And that is, anytime you're in a partnership with someone, have a competitive, unconditional giving arrangement. So in other words, you compete to give unconditionally more than the other person. Think about that. If you give more than the other person unconditionally, that means there's no scorekeeping. And that means you're constantly investing in that person. That's really a magical piece.
You've taken the concept of serving to a whole new level, and that's phenomenal. And that's, look, ladies and gentlemen, at this man who has achieved phenomenal success. Can you possibly fathom why? I mean, we've just discussed it for nearly an hour here. Many reasons why, the patterns to success, and it's all coming down to mindset in his heart and his serving attitude, and how he goes all in and not half-baked. That it's about relationships is what I'm getting from this. Is it's about long-term relationships, not just get in, grab a quick buck, and get out with that kind of mentality going in. It's about an investment in a human being and being there for them and giving all out everything you have. Am I getting that right, Ken? Am I close?
Yeah, 2 words, humanity and leadership.
Yes, humanity and leadership. So I hope everyone else is writing notes. You know, so I'm here hosting the show. I'm also the producer, the director, the star. Well, not the star, that's Ken. And I'm finding the time and the way to actually write my own notes. So I have a lot of notes. That's the bottom half of one page. And I'm just about, well, I'm getting there. Almost done with the next page. Book, yes. Book. Yes. And because I have a file full of these from my past guests, and they're gold. And I would not let go of these for anything. And the beautiful thing, though, is you all have the ability to replay this because it's on Facebook Live and other public venues that you don't have to pay to get to. So go look at the mindbodybusinessshow.com. I never plug this. Maybe I should do that more often, but it's not about plugging it. It's really for you, the viewer, the watcher, the listener, that, you know, to go to the mindbodybusinessshow.com and just opt in, and you'll get alerted minutes before each show goes live. And you can either show up or you can come afterward and watch the replay. But the beautiful thing I've found by interviewing people like Ken is that the valuable wisdom that's proven to work is right there in front of you. You know, we opened the show by saying if all you did is one thing, and that was read. Well, now you can listen and read, because every show is transcribed so that those who want to read it can read it. And you can get that also on the mindbodybusinessshow.com. So that being said, we're getting near that bewitching hour. Gosh darn it, we're already there. So there's one more life-altering question, Ken. I mean, I ask this of every entrepreneur, every guest expert on the show. And what I find is it's a doozy. And the thing is, if it takes you a moment or two to come up with the answer, there he goes, he's wiping the brow, the sweat's starting to pour. That's okay. Dead air time is fine. We're not set to end this show right at 6:30. That's the beautiful thing about it. We can go a few minutes long if that's cool with you and cool with the audience. We're going to continue on a little bit longer. And that is to ask this really driving question that I found really interesting, the answers of all the other guests that appeared before you. I can't wait for yours. So are you ready?
I think I am.
You are? All right.
I hope.
Okay. Oh, I was just checking my notes. I almost forgot. One more. Oh, we have to do this real quick.
I was going to do dishes at 6:30, so you're
yes. I love it. I remember in the beginning I promised you a way, you the watchers and listeners, if you're watching live, that you can actually enter to win a 5-night stay at a 5-star luxury resort in Mexico. So I don't want to leave you guys hanging any longer. Here is the way to do that. As soon as my screen starts reacting the way it's supposed to, it will come. There it is. Thank you. Thank you. So for those of you watching, you can see it on your screen. It's there's two ways. You either go to a website, and that's reachyourpeakllc.com/vacation. And vacation is all lowercase. That's the only thing you need to remember with case in any of that. reachyourpeakllc.com/vacation. Or if you prefer, and it's easier for you to text it on a cell phone, text the word peak, that's P-E-A-K, to the number 661-535-1624. Again, that's peak, P-E-A-K, to 661-535-1624. We're nearing the end of our time here, so I will be monitoring that well after the show. For those of you that enter this right away, I can tell when they come by timestamp. Do that now. Right now, and I will choose a winner and notify you individually through a text as well. So go ahead and do that. I can't wait to see who that winner is going to be, and we'll announce it later on the Facebook page here that you might be watching on. We're on 9 different platforms simultaneously. It's a phenomenal thing. Lots of great stuff going on, and now I have some weird stuff happening, but it's okay. We're going to keep plugging on. You got to love technology, don't you? Yes, you do. So Mr. Rashawn, the all-important question is, and this is just, okay, to let you off the hook now. So there's no wrong answer to this. There's only your answer. Your answer is the only correct answer. Have asked all the other ones before, and just so you know, not a single one has answered it the same exact way yet. I expect it to be answered the same way once, but we're not there yet. So that'll take the pressure off. You can now wipe that brow and it won't come back and you'll be relaxed. So Ken Rashawn, how do you personally, how do you define success?
I don't know. Okay, was that the first time you ever heard that answer?
It is. Holding true to form.
Okay, so I define success as feeling abundant. And abundant is actually feeling like you have no needs. And part of that is taking what you believe in and creating a legacy with it. So I believe that everyone has, and by the way, Andrea will be very proud because I shared this with her earlier and she says, share this in the show. So this is the first time I've said this, is that every single person has a song in their heart and they're afraid to sing it because they don't know if someone's going to accept them for it or if they can overcome their fears to actually be brave enough to sing it. So I believe everyone should sing their song, who they are, why they are, and how they are. Who they are is their journey, what they had to go through, what they had to overcome, and what they learned from it to be who they are now. Their why is what gets them out of bed, like you said in the beginning of the show, what drives them, what causes them to actually feel alive, that they matter. And their how is how they create abundance, how they solve problems, and most importantly, in my case, inspire smiles.
Yep, so true to form, no one else answered it like that. So you're in
Did you like the beginning though? Was that
you're
good?
in a good club. Yeah, that was like,
I
that was
don't know.
awesome. And I love the way this graphic has messed up on us, but you know, hey, that's technology. We're gonna have fun with it.
I now have hair technically in a way.
Yeah.
I have a graphic hair. I have graphic hair.
It's kind of an orangey looking, but I like it how you stamped the Mind Body Business right on your forehead. The Mind Body Business.
You know, Brian, as a big gift to you, I'm getting this a tattoo tomorrow. I don't want this to be a banner on top of my head. I want it to be a tattoo.
Sweet. I'll send you the graphics so you can take it to your local tattoo artist and get it done. I look forward to seeing that next time I see you. That's awesome. Awesome. Well, hey, it's been an absolute blast, Ken. I can't tell you how thankful I am and how blessed I feel to have you grace this stage, not only for myself, but for everyone who's watching and listening on the live version, and even those that listen afterward on the recording. We're on 9 different streaming platforms, also 8 different podcast platforms, and it's all over the place. And I'm just so grateful that folks have access to someone like you, and that you stepped forward and invested your time to be here to give us your wisdom. And I appreciate you, brother. Likewise.
And I want to say that the preparation you do for a show is insane. I've been on 51 shows just when I read my first book, and no one puts the type of preparation you do. You live with your heart, you lead with your heart, and really God bless you for teaching so many guests how to be a better host. So thank you.
Oh man, that really that warms my heart. Thank you so much. You say that as the graphic is all skewed. That's wonderful.
No, dude.
It
you brought the show, man.
It's perfect. Thanks, man. I so appreciate that. All right, and I appreciate all of you who have watched and listened to the show, either live or recording. Keep coming back. I saw your comments. I was watching on Facebook. Sometimes we have time to address those. Other times I would just rather focus on the guest expert. So thank you all for coming to watch. That's our show for tonight. So until next week, we will see you again. Everyone be blessed. Ken, thank you so much once again, my friend.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you for watching and listening. This has been the Mind Body Business Show with Brian Kelly.